Welcome to La Taverna Friuli Wines, the definitive podcast on wines from Friuli, Venezia Giulia. I'm your host, Wayne Young. Hello, Friuli wine friends. Welcome back to La Taverna. I am Wayne Young, your host. How's everybody doing this week? Got the second part of this conversation with Daniele Lenuzza and his wife, Tanika Paris. Daniele's 30 years old, third-generation winemaker in Prepotto, home of Schioppettino. Met his lovely wife, Tanika Paris, from Stellenbosch in South Africa while he was traveling internationally for his winery. They have 2 kids, and this episode we talk a bunch about social media and about wine tasting and building relationships with your commercial partners and with your friends and people who come to the winery. Talk about sustainability. It's a great conversation. Great future people, as my friend Ben calls them. So without further ado, let's get into this second part of the conversation with Daniele Lenuzza and Tanika Paris. You said you sort of started at 15,000 bottles and your target is around 90,000 bottles. Where are you at right now?
80% of the growth.
80% of the growth.
Yeah.
So you guys have really accelerated. You guys have put your foot on the pedal. That's great.
Yeah.
And you travel almost exclusively as a couple. So you present yourselves.
We're trying to, but
Yes
two
and no.
kids.
But yeah, you have
in
2
the
kids,
middle,
so somebody has to stay home.
Someone has
Mom
to,
or
yeah.
dad has to stay home to take care of the kids.
Yeah, we tried.
How old are your children?
So our daughter next month is turning 5,
Okay.
and our son is 10 months old.
10 months. Okay.
Yeah.
So
For us to travel and meet people, go to all our importers, all our clients are friends.
The dog needs the most attention.
Everyone
should have got a cat.
came to visit in our winery, and we have dinner at our home. So we try to create friendship first,
Right.
and then the business come automatically. We don't want just a sale. We don't want just a deal. We want a long-term cooperation with our importers. And lately, so long, we are really doing that.
So you have you mentioned, Austria, Germany, North Europe. We talked about that. But also, you said you had a bunch of markets around the
Our
world.
biggest market at the moment, for the last 4 or 5 years, is Japan.
Japan. Okay.
Canada.
Canada's really growing. Switzerland is growing a lot.
Canada's a typical market too, because it's still state controlled, is it not?
Yeah, we are. I think we are.
How did you crack that code?
Yeah, you
Once
need to
you
push
crack-
sometimes,
Yeah.
And we have the first Schioppettino di Prepotto in the monopole of Quebec. So
Really?
Yes.
yeah,
And
you go
it's-
in any wine shop of Quebec, Montreal, whatever, you find our Schioppettino di Prepotto, and they can't get enough.
Yes, they can't get enough.
Wow.
So
They're trying to allocate even more every year.
Really?
US is quite also a good market, North and South Carolina. We have very great ambassadors of Friuli wines there.
In South Carolina.
North and South Carolina.
Really?
Yes.
North and South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our biggest market. And then we have also small markets, but we don't
What's
differentiate.
it like trying to educate somebody from North or South Carolina about Schioppettino? What's that experience like?
So I've been there for 10 days now in May,
Yeah, in May.
and the culture and the knowledge that they have about wine, it's unbelievable.
Really?
The wine list that they have, and they know where Friuli is.
They know where Friuli
They
is.
mostly know where Friuli is.
People from Bologna don't know where Friuli is.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's why it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
That's
then when
fantastic.
they taste Schioppettino di Prepotto, made it in the way that we made, they were changed, because it's a wine that's is a big wine.
Yeah.
Okay, Schioppettino is not that easy. it is easy drinking, but on the market for its price and whatever, it's not a everyday wine. But they say, I want this wine, I want to put it by glass because it's so easy drinking and people need to enjoy it every day. And that's what we're trying to do, to put our wine by the glass. It can be very expensive, but in the right markets is the way to promote Friuli.
Of course.
Because if you see Friuli on the wine list, no one get it. But if you see it on the blackboard on the wall, say, why not?
Yeah.
I'm gonna try a glass.
Give it a try.
But then when they try Schioppettino, they can't have enough.
Really?
Yeah.
I used to do that when I was a sommelier with Friulano, with Tokai.
Just taste as many as you can.
Well, I used to give it to clients, right? People would, because everybody orders Pinot Grigio in the United States.
Yeah.
In an Italian restaurant, your white wine is Pinot Grigio. And I was like, hang on a second. So I try this, and they would try it when it was called Tokai. And they were like, oh my God, this is the best Pinot Grigio I've ever had. And I was like, yeah, because it's not Pinot Grigio. And then you get this to tell the whole story. And that's so important because that gets passed around. People, all of a sudden, they feel enlightened, and they take that information and they go, the next time they go to another restaurant.
Knowledge is
power.
Knowledge
Yeah.
is
And they
power.
go, excuse me, do you have a Tokai Friulano? And then their friends look at them like, I thought you drank Pinot Grigio. What is this Tokai stuff? Isn't that sweet wine? It's like, no. And then all of a sudden they feel like a little bit more intelligent than their friends. And their friends start to say, oh, okay, well, let me try some too. And all of a sudden you're an automatic ambassador, so that's really super important. So, I mean, you were talking about communication, right? So you were like, okay, so communication, you got your personal visits into markets, right? You have the degusteria, which is people are coming to you.
Yes.
Mostly foreigners or also local people as well?
Also locals.
Yeah.
Also locals.
We try to do both.
Is there, what are the other sort of channels of communication that you guys are using? Social media or video, or what are you guys
Social
working
media for sure.
Yeah.
But I think our social media are more our diary of
Yeah.
the Lenuzza family, what they do, what
we're not
our daughter
we're not
do,
yeah,
what our
exactly.
dog does today.
We're not a very obvious kind of social media page, one that's really pushing to communicate a specific thing.
about wine?
Yes, we're very transparent, which is how we are in our normal life or with all our clients. We try to create more of a diary into our real everyday happenings that you can kind of follow along with, instead of just keep selling you one specific thing.
Right, right.
Yeah, because then at the end of the day, we're not communicating anything. It's just becoming very one-dimensional.
Right.
Whereas what we try to communicate on social media is more interactive.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who handles that? Is that
That's
you,
me.
is that
Not
your
me.
is that your deal? I'm really intimately involved in that process, and I'm not
Yes.
trying to steal anything from you. Everybody has their own style, but what's
I'm in no way an
what's your
expert.
creative process of sort of creating your social media communication? So do you just like wake up in the morning and go, oh wait, look, there the dog is.
I think it's
ran
very
into the
spontaneous.
It
river.
is. It's
very
very
spontaneous.
It's very, I'm
Isn't that the way it should be?
Yeah, I'm no expert in social media. I love social media and I love its power that it has. But again, we try and use it in a very natural, spontaneous way that doesn't seem forced.
Right.
So it really is spontaneous, and it's basically having your phone with you, and because everything that happens in the day is based on us and our family life. So it's pretty simple. Just say what is happening.
Right.
That is the strategy. And maybe you can't even call it a strategy.
Well, it definitely is a strategy, but obviously it's a very organic
Yeah.
way of doing.
And
things.
we've found a great response to this kind of style of social media, because a lot of people are finding social media to be very forced and very in their face. More the time goes on.
A little bit too preachy, a little bit too
Yes, like
sales-oriented.
traditional marketing,
Okay.
it's moving in that direction, and can sometimes be so in your face that you don't know actually whether to turn, or even if you want to look on social media anymore. Whereas social media, I think, was more of a platform to get into the more particulars of people's lives and business aspects, the behind the scenes kind of aspects. So we follow it in that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smart.
And I would say one of our best marketing campaigns is the like when people
Word of
talk
mouth,
about
yeah.
word of
Yeah.
mouth, like when people talk about that and you tell your friends because you had the best experience and people just coming. And same with importers.
Right.
And that's the best way, you know.
Do you think it's important? I mean, I have my opinions about this. Do you think it's important to sort of develop a local market as well as
Yes.
your expert
Absolutely.
markets?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The local market is a very important part of communicating what we're doing. They are living this lifestyle every day,
Right.
and people want to get in touch with this. They want to partake, and they want to interact with this kind of lifestyle. So it's very important. Yeah.
So that's why we have also offering food tasting, okay, where you taste 5 wines,
Okay.
but you can also taste by glass.
Okay.
So you have the glass and the pairing. So if you try Ribolla Gialla, it goes with this tortino, whatever.
Right.
So you can just have one tasting.
Okay. So you can just taste one wine
You
if you
can
want.
just taste one wine, yes.
You just pop in and taste the wine.
Pop in, finish work, taste the
Right.
wine. Again, wine is for everyone.
Okay.
You know, and we're not the people that that doesn't like local market. We really like it.
Okay.
Because we also really want to improve the culture of the drinking that people still do in Friuli.
In Friuli.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
doesn't want to be a frasca, doesn't want to be a place where people just hang around,
Yeah.
but
90-cent thimblefuls of local red
Yeah.
wine.
And
you
that's
don't-
but that's why I spoke about the style of the place is to bring elegance back to wine.
Right.
Okay, not the drinking side of wine, but the elegance, the tasting, the conversation side of wine, and that is a very big goal and aspect to this place.
You guys are going to have like a line out the door.
We hope.
it's getting there.
Is getting there.
What is your opinion? That you're saying you also have your opinion about?
You know, I've spoken to sort of smaller wineries that have started up in Friuli, and it seems like the first thing that everybody starts talking about is like, well, we have to get like markets in the United States, and we have to open up a market in Germany, and we have to do this. And I'm like, what's your market like at home? And they're like, yeah, well, we only do so much here at home, but we really want to develop the outside market. And I'm always like, stop. You have to work sort of in concentric circles. That's always been my idea. You work close to home, right? And what happens is that word of mouth, it spreads, right? And then when somebody comes from Venice to Udine or Venice to Cividale, the word of mouth already in Cividale is saying, go there, go to Prepotto. Oh, and then because people in Cividale know. Whereas if all of your energy is in New York, somebody who comes from New York to Cividale is going to go someplace else. They're not going to come and visit you because there's nobody in Cividale talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you're I talked to one winery like, oh yeah, we're going to go do a wine fair in South Korea. I'm like, but you don't even sell your wines in Udine. Why are you going to South Korea? You know, I said, start selling your wines in Udine, and they make very little wine, very few bottles. I'm like, just concentrate here first. And you might not even have to go to South Korea. You might find that you sold all of your wine in Udine and Pordenone, you know. So that's my concept is start close to home and then work your way out in sort of concentric circles. Is Friuli going really well? Go to Veneto, go to Austria, go to Emilia-Romagna, go to Milano. That needs that, Friulian wine that doesn't have its own wine market. Verona is tough. Milano's easier. You're doing okay in Milano? Go to Rome. Okay, so now you're working out in concentric circles. Of course, you can always do two things at one time. You can develop a foreign market while you're working on a local market as well. But I feel like sometimes people are outward looking and they're not looking closer to home. Mm-hmm. You had something to say.
I'm laughing because I can tell my experience. So as I said before, when my father was running the winery, the most important, what was needed was the selling point. Okay, sell more wine.
Okay.
It was not enough what we were doing.
The selling point as in like a spaccio in the winery for people to come
really,
to.
No, really, because
Okay.
it changed a lot and so it was not a lot of background. So the main market was actually Trieste.
Okay.
That's where my dad went in the 2000 to sell his bottles, and it creates a very big market, you know.
Okay.
And then markets change, so you need to be on track, you know.
Right. You have to
So,
stay on top of
yeah,
it.
I was at school and I had my license and 18 years old.
Okay.
So
Your
I was
driving
born,
license.
Driving license. 16 December I was born.
Okay.
31st January I had my license because I had already the 125, like whatever. So I got my license, and the day after, I didn't went to school. I went to sell wine.
Really?
Yeah, no one knows this story. Like a lot of
Really?
people, I can mention everyone. So the first 4 times, I was so shy to go inside the place
Right.
because, like, what the heck I'm gonna say? What I'm gonna do? Like, I don't have a maestro that teach me. I don't have like no one. So just go. You
Right.
need to sell wine. If you sell
Yeah,
wine,
they're also not your wines, it's your dad's
my
production.
dad wine,
Yeah, yeah.
my dad
Yeah.
labels, and whatever.
Exactly.
And I did this in Friuli, Italy, for many years.
Really?
Okay. So believe me, it's our job.
It's definitely a hard
Okay.
job.
Everyone goes to sell wine in Udine. Everyone goes to sell wine in Pordenone.
Right.
And this is a little bit after almost 12 years, I can say it. Okay. The restaurant owners and the Enotech owners are not helping the system. Okay.
Okay.
They use the producers a lot of times for the benefits.
Uh-huh.
So small wineries like ours are feeling very embarrassed, and they push you
Intimidated,
down.
yes.
They push you really
Okay.
down. Okay?
Really?
So that's why then, of course, you meet some reps and some distributors. So you create a little bit of your chain.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then that's why we focus on the international markets.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I come to you and you have a restaurant, you taste my wine and you love the wine, you buy it.
Okay.
That's it.
Right.
I can't come there 6 times. I can't come there every week and eat at your place and whatever. And that's what everywhere else in the world, you go there, we tasting the wine, you buy the wine, you put by the glass, and you keep going.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Whereas here it's a different
You need to go
expectation.
every day. And I'm tired of that. Okay. That's why
Okay.
we're not doing it anymore.
Okay.
But now we are realistically understand, because we lost a little bit of the local market
Okay.
because we're not supporting the market. You know what I mean? And
But
if
the
you-
market doesn't seem like it's supporting you either.
Yeah. But now we want to go back, but we're going to go back in a different energy, with a different background. Like, not just please buy my wine. You know what I mean? You like the
Some
wine.
thicker skin.
Let's collaborate.
Right.
Let's do things. You know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that when you were saying like, oh, people like should start from local. Local is not easy. Sometimes it's easier to go sell wine in North Carolina. You know what I
Right.
mean? Or in South Korea, because if people like the wine, they buy the wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here it's a lot of wineries, a lot of friends. Wineries got friends. People like
It's
give
almost
wine
like
for free.
it's almost like they're spoiled for choice,
Of course.
you know. And so you're doing, like, they're doing you a favor
By taking your wine.
by taking your wine, just
I
by
have-
tasting it.
I have lived that personally when I
Yes.
worked for Bastianich.
Yes,
I've lived that. Whereas, obviously there are certain places in and around Udine that are important to get into. You want to be listed there, and you know that these people have a certain level of clientele who come in. And I remember going to these places, and literally they made you feel like they were doing you the
Yes.
biggest favor.
Yes.
And I remember even one place, I won't mention who it was. They were like, okay, we'll buy the wine per stanchezza.
Yeah. For sfinimento.
Exactly, because we had been and spoken to them and brought them bottles so many times. They were like, okay, facciamo per stanchezza. And
Yeah,
I
you
was
see,
like,
for a
it
winery-
was like, I said to the commercial
Very
director,
discouraging.
I was like, you know what? Just tell them, fuck off.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
we don't need your business, because how many bottles are you going to buy? So I would just say, stanchezza. No, you know what? That's okay. We don't need your business.
For a winery that lives for with other markets and whatever, it's good to have their brand in different wine lists and whatever. But for a winery that you can see it's like young and they need the sale, They
Right.
need the 60-day payments. They don't need that 320 days payment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people don't understand that.
Right.
No. So that's why I was quite sharp on this argument.
Right.
But you know, I'm not afraid to say that. You know, the market it's wild,
Right.
but you need to change.
It's hard. Yeah. Yeah.
You
yeah,
need to
yeah.
change.
Yeah, the thing that struck me was when you said sort of like the places aren't working for the wineries; they're almost working against the wineries, right? You don't. It should be a sense of cooperation, whereas we're all working together to sort of promote the region.
These places are ambassadors for
Of
the
course.
collection of wineries that they present to their clients coming in.
Right.
And so it should be a collaboration.
Right. Instead of making you feel like they're doing you a favor.
Yes.
Yeah. And so what's your strategy to combat that? How are you sort of penetrating that market now with a new strategy, with a new mindset?
I think now we had like more than 2.5 years of building the cellar.
Okay.
So we've been very destroyed physically, mentally, focusing just that.
Okay.
So
But low key.
low key. So now our strategy is to consolidate everything, focus a lot on quality and production,
Right.
and consolidating our current markets, and
Okay.
then go and start again.
Okay.
You know, and definitely we are in a. It's sad to say, but we are in a very recession time. I would say the markets are very quiet.
Right.
So we need to just
For wine sales in general.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know if it's the weather or whatever, but it's a wild war situation.
Cat Stevens said it first, eh?
Yeah. So I think we need to understand what's the dynamic in the next months. Definitely everything's gonna catch up. So we will be there for that. But now personally, also as a family, as a new winery build, whatever, we need to consolidate everything to then be able and strong to keep pushing.
Right.
Also, it's something that we believe very strongly in. It's so easy to kind of lay out the map and say, okay, let's go to all the new markets and just kind of attack and a big strategy and sell there. It's more difficult and more challenging to just kind of stay and maintain the markets that you have. But it's extremely important.
Right.
But I mean, across all the markets that we have, to really show face and to say, no, we're with you guys. This is long term. If on your side the market is struggling, no worries. We actually have a long-term partnership. This is a family situation.
Right.
And so that's a very important thing for us, not just to keep jumping to new markets.
Okay. Less is sort of like saying, okay, we got to find another market there, another market there. You have sort of your, whatever it is, 12, 15, 25, 35 markets where you're working well, and you're just concentrating on making sure those are stable and that you're creating a familial bond, like you said, right? Where you're saying, okay, we're not really going to jump on you because your depletions for last month weren't as good as the month before. It's like, okay, how do we work through this? How do we work together? How do we keep going forward?
We take very seriously every 2 or 3 days to personally message our clients internationally and find out what's happening on their side. How are the wines being received? What is really liked? What is less understood? What's being appreciated? What are your challenges? How can we help?
Right.
Also from their side, they're very communicated.
Yeah, but because
they communicate with you as well.
Because we create
they also
this
like
very
proper message. Oh, how's the season? Whatever.
Okay.
Or,
because we've built this really open communication with our clients.
It's very personal.
Exactly, we've made it very personal because at the end of the day, business is also a two-way street. We're not just selling the wine and saying, bye, okay, you guys handle it.
Right.
It takes a massive collaboration to really create a brand as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's super important too, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, we want to be in as many markets as possible because we also like to travel. So when we travel, we go for business, but we also try to enjoy the markets, the culture.
Have you been to Japan?
Many times.
Yeah, I love Japan.
Yeah, was there in November now.
It's hard
Yeah.
not to love Japan. It's beautiful.
It's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think is very important for a winemaker, for an entrepreneur that owns a winery in Friuli, in Italy, in South Africa, everywhere, to go visit the markets, because the markets are changing in a speed that we can't believe.
For example?
Example, Japan, in 3 years, the way of selling wine completely changed. If before can be also a importer strategy, but you can see a lot of new places. Okay, so the wine changed from being sold to Italian restaurants.
Okay.
A lot of Japanese chefs and whatever study in Italy.
Okay.
So they go back to Tokyo or whatever and try to make the Italo-Japanese cuisine.
Okay.
A very
How
cool,
is that stuff?
a very good interpretation.
Very good
Very cool.
It's very interesting.
cool.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay.
Unique,
Very
unique.
high quality,
Yeah.
very raffinated, but with their own touch, you know.
Okay.
And obviously with some of their own ingredients. Yeah.
So your wines are there.
Okay.
And on a wine list for restaurant, whatever. In 3 years. So I've been there last year, 23, and I was there in 2020, just before COVID. Now, the amount of wine bars, wine bars like Enotex, it's insane.
Really?
So your wine is just by the glass and people go there, drink. So their culture,
They're tiny,
it's much
tiny.
more.
Tiny little
Yeah,
places.
Tiny little wine
Is
bars.
that Italians? You know, we go in a osteria and drink just a glass of wine, a cicchetto and whatever.
Right.
It's crazy in 3 years. It's exploded.
Really?
Yeah.
That's encouraging. It's encouraging. So maybe that thing, if that's happening in Japan, maybe that can happen in the United States as well, or in.
Yeah, for sure. And something that a lot of people don't understand in Friuli, it's the wave of sustainability and organic, that type of winemaking. Okay. All the markets are getting there. Okay. Especially like
So there's a specific request for that type of
Specific request.
sustainability.
Yes.
People want to drink organic wines,
yeah, they
and
really
they ask
do.
for them specifically.
They really do, and we too. Like we want maybe not organic, but low intervent. We don't want to eat and drink rubbish. You know,
Right.
If you go to the shop, you look what you want to eat. You know, if it's not that organic is not the answer. Okay,
Okay.
but we need to think as a way. We can't still do as we were doing 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, things need to be changed. Okay, but the markets are very focused, are very like determined to go in that direction.
Really?
Okay, and we have most of the scenario in our region that is still very conservative
In what sense?
in farming,
In farming.
in organic, and
So resistant
the-
to going in that direction.
yes,
Resistant,
Afraid,
afraid for sure, unwilling,
unwilling. Unwilling because
because it's a big investment,
Right.
As well, it's a big
and a big risk.
and a risk, yeah.
a
That's what I was thinking.
massive risk. It's a big change. Some don't like change.
Right.
We know how one thing works. Why should we shift?
Right.
So there,
If
there
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yeah, there are many reasons why people are not moving in that way. But the thing is I mean, we are no one, but we travel a fair amount, and we keep our eyes open and our ears as well the whole time. And the markets are really moving in that way. They're not going to buy the other wines anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not organic. Okay, I'll find
A lot of importers are just kind of shifting entirely. And like you
organic
said,
wine.
it's not the answer, but at least that's the new shift.
Okay. And what about South Africa? What's the Schioppettino market like in Joburg or
I would
or
say
in Cape
I
Town?
would say non-existent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it a difficult market for Italian wine?
No, it just depends the region of Italy.
Okay.
Okay. They are, for example, our national distribution in South Africa. They're also an importer, and they bring in a lot of Italian wines to South Africa. there is a fair size market.
You have Barolo,
Yes,
Barbaresco.
exactly. I said the region.
That's it.
The classics.
That's
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Right. The names.
That's okay. South Africa is also slightly, I wouldn't say behind, but not at the level of wine culture that Italy is.
Okay.
Okay. Still
In
very
terms of production or consumption?
both.
Both. Okay.
Both. Still very much a country proud to drink South African wines.
Okay.
Okay, for the price of South African
Yeah,
wines.
you can drink a very nice
Yes.
white wine for like $60. That's like €3. So
Whoa.
A very
Yeah.
nice
Okay.
wine, yes.
So there's a price.
There's a disposable
Factor.
income discussion, absolutely.
Right.
With regard to spending on wine. A lot of the population drink wine. They also drink beer, though. Drink box wine. They love
Okay.
box wine still, yes. So there's a movement happening in South Africa, and a big young generation of new upcoming winemakers doing really interesting projects in South Africa.
Interesting.
And those guys are on the global market.
and also in
Okay.
South Africa in the last 5-6 years, you see more and more wine shop, bottle shops. Like where
In South Africa.
Yeah, people go there, drink a glass of wine.
It's up and
music.
coming. It's
Yeah.
up and
It's up
coming.
and coming.
Yes.
Oh, so maybe there's that trend that sort of Japanese and that's the whole idea of having these like little places where you go in and grab a glass of wine and
But very focused on small wineries, boutique wineries, very unique. And
One great thing about South Africa, and Daniele can absolutely back up this comment, is that the wine bars or wine shops or restaurateurs are very appreciative if you come and present your wine to them.
Really?
And really welcoming and really willing to take on your wine.
Wow, that's cool.
They are really backing up the production of winemaking in South Africa. They want to promote it. They want to be part of it. They want to be collaborative. And that's something that was his first comment, actually, to me this year when we were down there.
It's interesting, this perspective, and that sort of supports that sometimes it's easier to sell your wine outside than it is to sell close to home.
Yep.
How about un sogno nel cassetto? This is what I always ask people. Like, what about a little personal dream that you have, a little project, a little secret that you want to keep, but even sometime in the future you want to do? I always ask winemakers about sort of what sort of future project they might want to do. Could be with wine or maybe not with wine, something different. What about something in the future? Now that you've got the winery set up, you've got the tasting room set up. I mean, I don't know. You guys don't have anything else to do.
That's not true. We have a lot to do.
I would say
I'm teasing.
honestly, my dream, we push in the last 5-6 years, and we did projects that a normal business can do in like 15-20 years, 10-15 years. Let's do like that.
Okay.
So my big aspiration, my big dream, and that's what we're gonna do in the next years, it's literally focusing on family, living this dream of winemaking, because sometimes we lose that because we're running around, we go here, we go there, and we lose the single moments of our kids' harvest or like enjoying the winemaking life in two different parts of the world and really live a balanced life. That's my dream.
And this is exactly why fate brought us together.
Okay.
Because it's exactly my dream.
Okay.
I was about to say I would love to be able to do maybe half the year in South Africa and half the year in Italy, and really have a balanced lifestyle with regard to both the wineries, the children, give them an opportunity to experience both cultures, both countries.
It's a big deal.
If they would like to get into the winemaking side in both countries and really have a really open mentality. For me, it's really important what we're doing. Yes, for business reasons and for personal reasons as well, but to give our kids a really unique experience in life and to give them the opportunity to one day really choose and say, wow, I don't even know what to choose now.
That is incredibly well adjusted, like mentally well adjusted. I'm really impressed. No, because that's a lot of people don't think in those terms.
No, none of our dreams are actually monetary.
Okay.
Those
about
are all secondary things.
Right.
They really are. We've done everything with our heart from the beginning, and
Without a big background,
Right.
actually. So
What about a grape variety that you would love to work with? I mean, you're working with Pinot Noir and Chenin Blanc. Chenin Blanc, next week I'm going to the Loire because I want to taste like much Chenin Blanc as I possibly can because I love Chenin
if you
Blanc.
pop in tomorrow for,
Yeah.
for the evening, we have some Chenin Blanc samples
From South Africa.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
our Chenin, yes.
Okay. So, but I mean, something that you've always dreamt of planting, I don't know, Nebbiolo or something crazy shit like that.
I think Friuli has already too many varietals.
Okay.
Okay. We already grew mostly indigenous varietals.
Right.
Okay. If I have to say like out loud, my dream in 10 years is to only make Schioppettino di Prepotto.
Okay.
Make 50,000 bottles of Schioppettino di Prepotto. That's it.
That's
That's what
it.
you do at
I
Prepotto.
concur.
That's what you do.
You don't need to make 100,000 like things. You make it because the market's required and whatever. But if you're strong enough to just make one wine,
Right.
that's gonna be Schioppettino di Prepotto. Because if you believe in something,
You
just
push
say,
that.
this is what I do.
Yep.
Maybe you don't buy it now, you buy it tomorrow.
Right.
But after 5 years, you're strong on that.
Right.
If you keep scrolling your catalog pages,
Right.
but we're still scrolling the catalog pages since like 50 years.
Yeah.
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like that's the ambition, is to just make one wine. I think you arrive in heaven
Right.
when Lenuzza is Schioppettino di Prepotto.
Okay.
That's it.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And of course, the numbers, the things, everything need to go together. You
Right.
know what I mean? But maybe max 2 wines. We have wineries in Friuli are like 5, 6, 10 hectares, and they make 15 wines.
Right.
It's not sustainable.
Right.
It's local, it's tradition and whatever, but it's crazy.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys very much for spending time with me today and spending
Thank
time with
you
us.
so much.
It was a
Thanks.
pleasure. It was also a pleasure speaking English. I get to do that rarely these days with La Taverna. So thank you for coming and telling me about your story. It was a very, very interesting conversation.
Thank you.
I appreciate
so
it.
much.
And I will see
Pleasure.
you. I will see you at the winery for sure.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Ciao.